Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm the smartphone guy coming back at you with another video, and tonight we're bringing sexy back. That's right, we're bringing back the HTC U11 to this channel. So I've actually been using the HTC U11 off and on for about, what is it, like 10 months now? So why in the world am I talking about this device again? Now that it's 2018, we got the S9, the S9 Plus coming out, lots of other new devices coming out. Why are we talking about the HTC U11? Well, there's a number of reasons why I'm talking about this device, and mainly because I decided about a month ago or so to try to go back to this device as my main device, and I've got to say that so far my experience has been fantastic. So let me just kind of talk about some of the things that I said when I did my initial review, or my full review of the HTC U11, when I called it maybe what at that point was probably the perfect phone. And I gotta say that I don't think a whole lot has changed since the last time I reviewed this device. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those things. So first thing is the build quality. So build quality wise, obviously this is a beautiful device. It has a glass back. For me, honestly, that doesn't really matter because I cover up my phones with a case anyways, so I really don't care all that much about what the phone looks like. But if we're talking about, you know, is this a beautiful device? Well, absolutely. This is definitely a phone that you could show off. Now, obviously, it's going to collect fingerprints. That has not changed. It's still a glass back, still a fingerprint magnet. So, you know, that's kind of an issue, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, when it comes to this display, we have a 5.5-inch Super LCD display, and I honestly kind of forgot how great this display looks. Now, it's not Super AMOLED, obviously, it's Super LCD, but I do really like the display on this device. Now, again, one of the things we're missing here is it's not 18:9, so that's kind of like the trend of late 2017, early 2018, is to have that 18:9 aspect ratio. With this, you're getting that old school 16:9 aspect ratio, which for content viewing is actually very good. You're not getting any of those black bars. You don't have to zoom in on the picture in order to get a full screen, and I kind of like it. I forgot how much I like this. Now, honestly, the two devices I'm using as my daily drivers right now are similar form factor. I have the iPhone 8 Plus and then the HTC U11, so both are working great for me, and I kind of like that 16:9 aspect ratio still. As far as performance goes, I will say that this phone has not skipped a beat since the day it came out. So I've been using it, like I said, for about the last month off and on, but the last 2 weeks really I've been using it heavily as basically my daily driver with the iPhone 8 Plus, and this thing has not, honestly, the 835 Snapdragon 835 processor with 4 gigs of RAM is still performing like a charm on the HTC U11. So why am I covering this device again? Well, honestly, the reason why I'm covering it is because right now you can pick this thing up, and I'm not sponsored by Swappa by any means, but you can pick this up right now for around $400 in mint condition on Swappa, and really you can pick it up for a little bit less than $400 even. And I've got to say that, like, you know, if you're considering trying to get a great device, $400 right here, just pick it up on Swappa, a used one. This is an absolutely fantastic device. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the cameras, because when this phone came out, I said it had the best cameras. Now, one of the things it's very obviously missing is dual cameras on the back. You don't get that bokeh effect when you use those dual cameras. You don't get the portrait mode. Now, I will say that there is kind of a workaround there, because as you know, as long as you have Android Oreo 8.0, you can use the Google APK, the same one that they use on the Google Pixel 2 and the Google Pixel 2 XL, and you can get a little bit of a bokeh effect, just like you do with the single camera on the Google Pixel 2 and the Google Pixel 2 XL. However, I will say that when I tried using it on this device, it just doesn't have the same quality that you get with that device, and it's because honestly it's made for that APK is made for that device specifically. When you try it out on a device like the HTC U11, which by the way has really good cameras, that has not changed. The front facing camera, the rear facing camera, to this day I will say that if you want the best video camera out there right now on a phone, I still think that there is nothing that can beat this device right here. Now, you are missing 4K. You don't get 4K at 60 frames per second. Sorry, you do get 4K but 30 frames per second. You don't get it at 60 frames per second. So that's obviously missing. But I mean, for me personally, that doesn't matter. I can get 1080p at 60 frames per second. That works just fine for me, and it looks beautiful. This is still the device that if I weren't using my DSLR, this is the camera I'd be using. I've had a lot of other devices up to this point, but I keep going back to this one, and like I said, I've had it for 10 months. It's a phone that I cannot get rid of. Alright, so one issue that you tend to have as devices get older, and like I mentioned, this phone is almost 10 months old now, and I've been using it quite heavily over that last 10 months, especially for videos. But one thing that tends to happen over the lifetime of a phone is it starts to deteriorate when it comes to battery life. So this phone, when it first came out, I was kind of disappointed that it only came with a 3,000 milliamp hour battery because other phones were coming out with 3,500, even 4,000 milliamp hour batteries. So this phone was launched with a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. In my original review, I think I said I get around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, and I've got to say that really hasn't changed. So again, like I was saying, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I was able to get 6 hours of screen on time on this device today, which is really, really good on a device that's 10 months old, 3,000 milliamp hour battery. I still think that this thing is performing really well when it comes to the battery life. So that is a huge thumbs up. As far as software is concerned, that is one area where I will give just a slight negative to this device. So if I had to pick one area that I think is maybe my biggest pet peeve with this device, is probably the software. And the reason I say that is because there are a couple apps on here that you just can't get rid of. They just keep coming back over and over, no matter how many times I try to get rid of them, and they're really annoying. And it's the HTC Sense Companion, which is kind of like a Google Assistant, and then also the HTC Alexa that it comes with. It'll probably pop up right now because I said it. But that is something that I just have not been able to get rid of on this device. So if you guys know how I can get rid of it, I've tried to disable it. It just keeps coming back up. So those things pop up all the time. They're really annoying to me. I'd rather them just never pop up on my screen, but they're there. But it is running Android Oreo, so that's a huge thumbs up. They were updating this device, so that's great. I appreciate it that HTC's done that with the U11. A couple other things worth mentioning when it comes to the settings. Obviously, we have that squeeze feature. Now, I've actually turned that off as well. I just personally found that it's not something I like to use, and I tend to kind of accidentally activate it, even though I had it set on the hardest squeeze. So that was another thing that I ended up deactivating, which so I'm appreciative that they allow you to do that on this phone. But for those of you that like it, obviously you can use it to launch whatever app you want. You can use it to do things within the app, just not something that I've used over time. I found it to be something that I just didn't like. But as far as the software goes, I'm running Nova Launcher on it, so I can't really complain about HTC Sense. I'm pretty much running it as a Google Pixel with my Nova Launcher on here, and so I got the Pixel icons. I made it basically set it up just like it was a Pixel. So that is something that I appreciate that I can do with this device. Now, the next area I want to talk about is the speakers. So this does have those dual speakers when compared to other dual speakers. So for instance, I have the Mate 10 Pro. I would say it's pretty much on par with that device, not as loud as the iPhone 8 Plus, but still it's great that it has dual speakers. I appreciate that about the phone. A couple things that this phone is missing, which are worth mentioning. Number one is that obviously it's missing a headphone jack. There's no headphone jack on this device, so I know a lot of people complain about that, but for me personally, I'm always using Bluetooth headphones. Not a big deal for me, not a deal breaker, but if it is, obviously this is not a device you want. Another thing that this phone is missing is that this one has IP67 water resistance, not IP68 like some other devices have. So for instance, the S9 that's launching, it's coming out very soon, the S9 has IP68 water resistance, which means it can technically go 3 meters underwater, whereas this one can only go 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes. For me, that's plenty. I don't really need the extra water resistance, and in fact, I've never dropped a phone in the water before, knock on wood. But as of right now, I haven't done that, so not a big deal to me. IP67 is fine. If you accidentally get some water on it, no problems there whatsoever. So other things worth mentioning about this device. One thing that I really love about it is the fact that it's unlocked for all the 4 major carriers in the US. So I have a Verizon SIM and a T-Mobile SIM, so I appreciate that I've been able to go back and forth with Verizon and T-Mobile using both of those SIMs in this device, because sometimes I want to rock my iPhone 8 Plus for a day, sometimes I want to go with the HTC U11, and I appreciate that I can switch no matter what phone I'm using at the moment. So that has been really, really great. But other than that, this is a phone for right now. The fact that you can pick this up for under $400 used, obviously you just get it in mint condition, but used for $400, that is really great. Even brand new on Swappa, I've seen them for as low as like $440, $450, which I think is a fantastic deal. Now, if you get it from HTC, obviously you're gonna spend a little bit more. It's closer to like $600, I think, still. So at that price point, would I recommend getting it? Maybe not, but as a used device, or even a new unused device on Swappa, I would definitely recommend this device. So HTC U11, a fantastic device, still a fantastic device in 2018, and one I can definitely recommend to those of you that are even considering picking it up. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.